April sales numbers are out for the S650 Mustang, and we've got some good news and some terrible news, so let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome to Red 50. Thank you for tuning into another video. Today we're going to be talking about the April sales number for the S650 Mustang. As we know, the S650 Mustang just hasn't been selling well, but we have some good news with these April sales report, which means there might be some hope, ensure that the Mustang just doesn't die. So we're going to get right into the numbers. So let's look at the April numbers for 2025. So Ford managed to sell about 300 more Mustang than it did in 2024 April. So you can see there's a good trend over there where we're selling more Mustang. That can only be a good news because it means more money can be invested into making the Mustang even better. However, there are two downsides with this that I'm going to talk about, even though it's exciting that for first time Ford is beating its year-over-year sales number for a month. And that is very exciting. But the two downsides that I want to talk about and really want to kind of highlight with this report is that while it beat the April sales number by like 300 units or so, you have to remember that there is a lot of speculation with the tariffs and the increase in prices, which means a lot of people who were probably on the sidelines waiting for something better want to lock these prices, because we know the Mustang is extremely expensive for what it is, and buyers just don't want to pay more. That's just the reality of it. So they're basically trying to lock in the price that's available. And not to mention, Ford also did this whole employee pricing that is, offering consumers the employee pricing. Whatever the employees would pay is what Ford is offering to consumers. So you don't have to haggle or anything. As long as the dealer's opting into that program, you just kind of go in and pay that exact price. So that is also moving in. Some people, I know some of the larger dealers will have better pricing available from the get-go, but from the smaller dealers, you have to really negotiate with them. So if you have the employee pricing available, you just kind of walk in and you get the employee pricing, which is obviously going to move some units. So while the April 2025 Mustang saw an increase in sales, it has to do with potential tariff scare that we have been seeing, and also the employee pricing, which is motivating a lot of people who are on the sidelines. I wouldn't say it's the Mustang itself is selling well, but mostly because people who are on the sideline or who wanted a Mustang but were like not really convinced with the 7th gen Mustang like most of us. They're like, if I'm gonna get a Mustang, if I'm gonna get the V8, now is the time to probably act on it before the prices go through the roof. Because I mean, my spec Mustang, the one I'm currently sitting in with the 401A and premium and all of that good stuff, is almost $12,000 more. So it's crazy to me. And the benefit, as we talked about, there isn't much benefit. There aren't much improvements where I would want to spend $12K more for pretty much the same car, aside from better interior, which is kind of questionable, and the looks, which are also subjective. Ford just refuses to do some sort of update or a refresh, which I think is what's really needed to move these Mustangs, especially if you're going to keep increasing the price. The 2025 Mustang saw about 3,000 increase in MSRP without any real changes. If anything, nothing was changed. They actually removed wireless charging because they couldn't implement a proper wireless charging that wouldn't burn your phone. So they took out stuff and they increased the MSRP by $3,000, which is obviously not a fun combination where you have an increased price and lack of features. Ford really should be doing some sort of a refresh sooner than what they would have normally done 3-4 years in. I think now is the time for the 2026 model year to have some sort of a refresh to start moving these units. The other thing I want to really talk about that kind of goes to kind of explain why Ford is struggling to sell this Mustang is if you look at the year to date, so before the tariff scare, before the employee pricing and all of that, if you look at year to date for the 2024 versus 2025 for quarter one or up until April, you can see there's a decrease of about 4,000 units. And that is a lot. That is a big number. 4,000 units less were sold in 2025 versus 2024. So despite having, the price increase and all of that, people still bought the 2024 Mustang. It was still a low selling number than what we have seen previously, but it was still selling relatively okay. 2025, you can see there's a decrease. So the first 3 months where there was not much of a tariff scare, prices were okay, there were no employee pricing, it actually managed to sell poorly, and only in April it managed to do 300 more units than it did in April of 2024, which in my opinion is just very concerning where the Mustang is headed. I mean, cars are getting expensive, I get that, so I'm not going to try to compare my car to the S650 because everything has gotten expensive. So I can't say I want to get the same exact spec, same car that I bought 6 years ago almost to be the same price today. That is just not the reality, and we know that, and we're okay with that. But at least offer enough of an upgrade, enough of a benefit, whereas us S550 Mustang owners would want to upgrade. And I think with the sales declining month over month, year over year, despite all these efforts from Ford by doing, employee pricing, by doing low APR financing, all of that stuff, dealer are marking them. I've seen some of these S650 Mustang be marked down for almost 6 to 7 grand without any haggling, without any other incentives combined. So you just kind of walk in and get $7,000 off of your Mustang. And I think for all of that to still not move enough units where it's at least, succeeding what it did last year, what it has done with the S550 years, it's just starting to be a dying product. And I would hate for Mustang to just kind of die off. As a matter of fact, Mach-E is selling better, so I don't want Ford to get the wrong message where they start putting all the money, all the resources, and R&D into the Mustang Mach-E, because quite frankly, it is selling better. I mean, it is a regular car, so to speak, compared to a coupe with a big V8. It's a very restricted use than the Mach-E would be, but still, it's selling better, and business is business. So if that's what is selling good for Ford, they might just decide to be lazy with it. The other component in my mind is also has to be that there's no competition. There's just no competition whatsoever. We've got the Mustang. There's no Camaro. There's no Challenger. There's no competition. So you can be lazy with your refreshes. You can take your sweet time, even if they're not selling that well. It's still bringing you money. And the fact that you're not investing into new technology, you're not investing into new product, it kind of increases your profit margin year over year because you've done all the R&D. So I think that's what Ford is doing right now. Kind of like I used to have the S197 Mustang GT with the 3-valve engine. And at that time, if you guys recall, there was no competition. There was no Camaro, no Challenger, no Charger even, no Firebird, any of those. There was a GTO, but that was pricier. And Ford just decided to be lazy. There was no 5.0. It was just 4.6, making hilariously low power, 300 horsepower from a big V8. It wasn't until 2011 where Ford came out with the 5.0, and you got the Camaros, Chargers, Challengers making almost 400 horsepower from their base V8 engine, where Ford were like, all right, we need to step it up, and then introduce the 5.0, and the rest is history. I mean, 5.0 has been an amazing engine throughout the Mustang history. It's just really reliable, can take a lot of power, a lot of people boosting it and have no issues with it. But competition kind of forces you to kind of get out of your comfort zone and make a product that's not strictly driven by from a money standpoint. You might spend a little bit more, you might have to pay a little bit more, but you're getting a better product. You're getting a better product where people want to actually buy it. So yeah, guys, I think that's what the S650 Mustang sales are looking like. April, you saw a slight increase, but there's a lot of factors that are kind of, helping with it in terms of increasing the sale. You've got the employee pricing and all the potential price increases that is to come with the 2026 Mustang. So while the sales increase, it's not really saying the Mustang is a better product. It's basically they're trying to incentivize a lot more than they did in previous years and just trying to increase those numbers. I really hope Ford learns from this and we get a refresh 2026 or even 27, but with actual upgrades. Kind of like the 10-speed in S550. It was a leap forward where you got the 10-speed transmission and just rest was history. So I want Ford to be able to maybe offer a Tremec on your base Mustang. It can be done. It has been done in Dark Horse. I don't know why Ford doesn't do it in the base Mustang GT. So let's see if Ford is going to be able to make Mustang more interesting in 2026 model year. And that's my hope, where Ford kind of comes out and just makes it a little bit better than it currently is. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button and comment below what are your thoughts on the S650 Mustang. And of course, subscribe to Red 50 for more videos.